welcome to Voices of CFMA, Construction Financial Management Association's podcast featuring conversations with industry leaders, sponsored by Old Republic Surety. I'm your host, Sal Marino, CFMA's Marketing and Content Manager. This month, I am talking with Lindsey Benson. Lindsey is an Audit Senior Manager at CBIZ MHM, one of CFMA's inaugural 40 Under 40 members, and she only normally watches movies once. Lindsey, thanks so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity.
So I guess, let's just start at the beginning. You want to tell me a little bit about your current role, what you do?
Sure. So I am an attest senior manager with CBIZ MHM, and we are a national public accounting firm, actually professional services. We provide a ton of other things outside of accounting services. We do HR and insurance and benefits, but within financial services, I work in the attest department, and I've been here 13 years. And so my whole career has been with CBIZ, which is a little unique, especially for my age. But I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy the clients and the people I work with. I specialize in working with contractors, so there's my connection to CFMA. And then I also do a lot of ERISA work, so employee benefit plan audits during the summertime.
Awesome. Very cool. So did you always know that this is what you wanted to do?
I don't know that I knew I wanted to stay in public accounting. I went to the University of Arizona and I got my bachelor's degree in accounting, and knew I wanted to go the public accounting route out of school just for the experience. But once I started here, the experience kept coming, and I continued to enjoy it. And suddenly it's 13 years later, and I'm still here. So, I really like all of the opportunities. I like the challenges. I like the flexibility, and again, the people are really what keep me here.
So, how did you come to get involved with CFMA?
Let's see. I think I joined it was somewhere around 2014. And at the time there was a special promotion that National was doing where an existing member could sign on a young professional to come join the local chapter. And so there's a shareholder I work with here in Phoenix who's very active in CFMA, especially at that time. So he kind of asked, do you want to come sign up and start coming to some of these lunches? So I said, sure, let's do it. And so from there, I did join the YCFP group, and I'm still a member of YCFP, which, if you're not familiar, is the under 40 group, which we all kind of laugh for the young construction being under 40, but still there. And so that was a really huge part of my relationship with CFMA is meeting people that are in my peer group and are going through the same stages of their career growth that I was at the time. And then from there, I joined committees. I joined the education committee and became the co-chair. Kind of got voluntold to help with that one, but that's how it goes.
It's what we do.
Yes. And then I was asked to be a board member, and I did serve that term. And then I was asked to be the secretary, and I served 2 terms as secretary for the Valley of the Sun chapter. And then being really involved and continuing to come to the events and be with everybody has been something that's really kept me in CFMA.
So if you had to pick just one, what would you say is the biggest benefit to being a CFMA member?
Oh, definitely the relationships. Whether it's, personal, just having friends that are in the same industry and same line of work, or professional. I see a lot of my clients and at various meetings and events throughout the year. And as an auditor, that's huge because I can know what's going on in their lives, right? Know what's going on with their companies and the challenges that they're having. And in real time, I can help them, which makes the audit process, which is always a hindsight process, much more simple when I know what's going on. So I love that aspect. I love being able to catch up with everybody continuously throughout the year.
That's great. So as a woman in construction, do you feel like construction is doing better at attracting more women into the industry?
I guess I look at it kind of two components. I mean, I work a lot more with the service and support side of construction, right? So like the CFOs and the controllers. And I have met some amazing women in very high roles at some really cool companies. And I think that's really inspiring. But I think what you're talking about is more in the field, getting project managers and superintendents and women to be interested in those roles. And I do think it's getting better. I think there's still a ways to go. And I think that's with the labor market in general for construction. It's just, we need more people to understand that it's a very, very successful career path. And I think that's kind of a mindset shift that we have to make kind of as a society, that maybe the traditional university route just isn't always the best route for a person. And there's
Right.
so many other opportunities to be really successful. And so I think there's some really cool initiatives with, Build Your Future and some of the things like that to help promote and educate all the opportunities in the industry.
So in CFMA's Meet the Member profile for our inaugural 40 Under 40, you told us that your favorite movie was A Christmas Story. Is it still?
So I'll tell you, I don't know what this says about me. I don't like to repeat watch movies. I am not one to like have a favorite that I always want to watch. That is one of the few movies that I do repeat. And so I guess that's where I call it my favorite, but I still get so happy. I don't watch it all the time, obviously.
Right. It's a very specific
it's
time frame where you can
specific.
watch A Christmas Story
Yes.
over and over again.
But I still very much enjoy the humor and the wit in that movie. So
Right.
that's where I think yes, the answer is yes. It is still
Okay.
my favorite.
I was reading the yesterday, and I was like, it's because I love A Christmas Story, and I don't know if you saw the sequel.
I did. It was a little
and
different, but yes.
it was very different, but I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would hate it going into it. So I was like,
Same.
all right, I guess that's a good benchmark. Like, I don't despise it right away.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I had to get that out there. So do you have a favorite project or a career highlight that you're proud of?
I've been I've had a lot of really great moments in my career in my short 13 years, but I would say the thing I'm most proud of is sort of indirectly with my career, but also personal. I Public accounting is pretty intense with the hours and the commitment, right? And in any service industry, like you want to be there for your clients. And after I had my son, who's now 6, so he was around a year old, I really recognized that I couldn't give all of the time and the hours that were expected of me in public accounting, but I knew I still wanted the career path. And so it hadn't really been successful in my local office before, but I created a plan and worked with the shareholders at the time, and I went to a reduced schedule. And I'm very proud of that because I made it work and they made it work. And it opened a lot of doors for my coworkers now to have opportunities to make that work too. And I'm still doing a reduced schedule. I still have young kids and the demands to balance there, but I'm just very proud of having the self-awareness at the time to realize, I didn't need to just completely jump ship and I also needed to be there for my family. So I think it was really it was something that changed the trajectory of my career path to help me stay here and be happy here and also still feel fulfilled at home. So.
Well, I think that's actually terrific. I think the work-life balance there is really important. So kudos on that. Our members love advice. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Ooh, this one's a little tough because I'm not I'm not one of those like motivational quote kind of people. I don't hold on to a lot of that. And I do feel like various pieces of advice resonate in your life at different times.
Sure.
But I think the one thing I've always held to is life's never really going to feel totally in balance, like with your life, your work, everything going on. It's just never going to be perfectly equal with your attention and your effort, but you have to give yourself grace that that's okay. And at times work may demand more from you. And at times your family may demand more, and keeping it in check is important, but giving yourself grace that it isn't always going to be, you might not feel like you're giving 100% to everything at once. It's not something you can do. So I think that's been something that I've had to accept in life and work through. And I think it's just a good thing to remember.
Yeah. And it can be hard to remember that, especially when you need it the most too, I feel like.
Yes. And when you always want to be achieving, when you want to be the best at everything, it can be hard, but I think that's just the self-awareness is important. So
it can be hard. I think that's great advice. Well, Lindsey, this has been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we sign off on this episode of Voices of CFMA?
No, I am just very grateful for all of the opportunities that CFMA has presented me over the years. I've been able to speak locally at our local chapter for lunches. I've been able to build some really great relationships, some friendships, people that I just genuinely enjoy spending time with. And I think the best way to get the most of your membership is to get involved locally and then potentially even nationally, but just, give some time back to the efforts of the industry. And from there, you'll see a lot of benefit. So I'm thankful to CFMA and all you guys do.
Well, we are thankful for you. And thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of Voices of CFMA, sponsored by Old Republic Surety. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe and share it on social media. And if you're interested in learning more about CFMA, check out cfma.org. Once again, I'm your host, Sal Marino, and I'll see you back here next month. Thanks.